Gemini, welcome back to Steampunk Psyche. If you are a subscriber, I want to say thank you so very much. Okay. If you are brand new or cross watching, make sure you hit the thumbnail, come in, check out the other videos I just put out. Um, find your sign, find your person, cross watch, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to just get up to 100 subscribers. I think that'll be a really cool milestone to set. So, anyway, I want to say thanks again. We are going to get into a 16 card reading, okay? So this may get a little long-winded. These energies may apply with you, they may not. If they don't resonate, don't worry about it. Come on into the channel, check out the other readings. You will definitely find something that applies. In this reading, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat. I'm not going to try to give you some vending machine answers, okay? We're going to let the archetypes do their job. We can learn from these cards if we let them, right? There's always things we need improvement on in our lives. So 2025 up to 2026. We're in Capricorn season. We're in the new moon. A lot of, in the community page, I left some information there too, if you want to check that out, about how the moon affects our attitudes, how it affects us, right? So, okay, 16 card reading. We're going to take a look at your personal energy right now and your crossing challenge, okay? Gemini. Your personal energy right now, the Empress, okay? You could be, like I said, right now with this full moon, it has a tendency to kind of make us feel all ooey gooey in our heart space, right? Your crossing challenge, I'll get back to those cards, by the way, but your crossing challenge is the Ace of Pentacles. So 2025 up through 2026, you could have had an offering of some kind that perhaps fell through, maybe, or that did come through. But the challenge card, meaning there was something challenging about this new offering. Perhaps this was a job offering. Perhaps it was an investment offering. A contract of some kind that challenged you, or it could have been something as harsh as, say, you had to move for some reason, and there was a you were under a lease or a contract with, say, a vehicle or an apartment. It could be something like that the contract fell through, or it could have been that maybe you signed a contract of some kind, but also maybe you made an investment or the thought of making an investment. Now, your present energy being the Empress, once again, like I said, this is that nurturing state. You could be in your high feminine state right now. You could be that divine feminine that has undergone a transmutation. You've undergone some kind of a rise, okay? If you're looking for a twin flame or soulmate connection, it could be that you have stepped into your divine feminine, waiting for that divine masculine, okay? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to move on, okay? And sort of the Celtic cross, but it's going to be a little bit extended, so hang in there with the reading. Okay, on the underlying energies, these could be shadow aspects. These could be things that you're thinking deeply about. 2025 all the way up through 2026, so keep these things in mind, all right? So somewhere underlying in your energy is the King, or the Knight of Wands. You'll have to forgive me. It's pretty early where I'm at right now. I could not sleep, but I felt like I needed to do this reading. The Knight of Wands energy, okay? So the Knight of Wands represents romance. It represents a fiery energy, a a passion, a desire, okay? So you could have very well had this really deep desire for, let's say, if you are in the divine feminine state, waiting for the divine masculine. You are in your mind about this emotionally, very charged, okay, very emotionally in your head. But it could have been of romance that took place throughout 2025. It could have been that you were made an offering of some kind, that this, there's a flirtatious act or some things that took place that really sparked your interest, right? So, take that however it applies, okay? The next card to come out in the underlying within you, somewhere along the way within 2025, this could have been yesterday, okay? So we don't have to go all the way back to January, but we can go today, or, by the time you get this video, tomorrow. So, but the Hanged Man, okay? So you intentionally pulled back your energies to try to, and it makes sense in the divine Empress state, being that, like I said, the Empress does not have to represent a passive energy. However, she is a passive energy, a feminine energy, but males also. I try to stay in that Empress energy myself. She's clarity, and she's a stable, and and this makes sense because with the Hanged Man, that's what you're trying to achieve most of the time. You need an answer. You go into the hangman position. It's an intentional hanging. You do this yourself. To be very common about it, it's just like, hey, get the hell away from me. I need some space, right? It's as simple as that. But it's also, if you're into meditation, or if you're into, the exploration of the mind, or why I think the shit that I do, the Hanged Man. That's what that represents. Okay. So somewhere also hiding underneath you is this loyalty to this. This could be, for instance, pertaining to a monogamous relationship. It doesn't have to, but there's the camaraderie. There is that classic, fairy tale idea in the mind. Cups do talk about and represent emotions. So there's somewhere hidden in you that there's this emotion about you need this connection, this support, this unity of. This doesn't have to represent marriage, but it's relationship. There is a deep desire for this connection of relationship hiding underneath the surface there, okay? And I think that's a beautiful thing. So somewhere also in that mixed is the Page of Swords, okay? So like I said, if you're waiting for that person, or if you're contemplating this situation, the Page of Swords represents kind of this newness. So there could have been some newness about this in 2025, something that sparked your interest, and you were waiting for, perhaps an offering. The swords represent the action card, right? So they also represent communication. So we are talking about Gemini, and this could have been maybe you. Maybe you were trying to reach out, or maybe somebody was trying to reach out to you, or to take action towards you. Okay. And that's the underlying things that may have presented themselves for 2025 up till now. And now we're going to take a look at, okay, the recent past. Okay. So Gemini, in the recent past, we have, again, another page, a Page of Wands. So the Page of Wands also represents I feel like this is very much pertaining to the underlying. This Page of Wands also represents a romantic idea, but this is the exploration side to it. The offering, okay, that with the Knight of Wands meant that there felt like there was way more energy in it, okay? And so this is kind of undergraduating. It's like going backwards here from the Knight to the Page, okay? Which means maybe that may have faded away, this passion that you had, or this, I'm going to explore into this idea. You did go in the underlying somewhere along that time, you had that, you were constantly pulling back and trying to understand what this was, right? And if you're on the twin flame journey, it could have been that runner chaser kind of situation that constantly, has that a tendency to pull you back into that, or soulmate connection, or somebody that you're interested in, or somebody that's interested in you, whatever it is. But like I said, it kind of feels like it kind of curtailed there for a little bit, all right, with the Page of Wands. However, it also talks about exploring. So the Page is a brand new, it's a younger, it's a more less mature idea or emotion, right? So there very well could be, in the recent past, you had emotions towards something, okay? But I also see with the next card rising up in the recent past, the Chariot, okay? The Chariot could represent that I moved away, because we did see like I said, the kind of coming backwards of the wands from a more of an action to a lesser of an action, or a less, matured situation, but moving away from it, or you could have moved towards it. But I kind of feel like it's like you moved away from it, and there's reasons why, okay? But the Chariot card represents also moving out of materialistic needs, materialistic world, kind of pushing away and coming out away from the world temporarily as a state of mind. You did have the Hanged Man, so this makes sense as to why in the recent past this card may show up, okay? But it's a balancing of the spiritual aspects, the light, the dark. You're just taking a look, and you could have very well had kind of an epiphany moment where you kind of analyzed, what am I looking at spiritually wise? You could have been studying. It does talk about maybe a transformation of the mind. It talks about a rising up in the spirit, because the Chariot card does represent that. Um, the next card, if I get my fingernail underneath it here. Here we go. The next card to come up in the recent past is the Seven of Swords. Okay. Now, the Seven of Swords represents that there may have been some kind of trust. Do I trust this emotion? The seven talks about these two swords that I'm going to leave these swords here as I walk away. There's a tent back here in the background. This soldier's kind of stealing the other swords, but there's a vindictiveness to it. There may have been something in your recent past that you felt like there was a vindictive something against you. Maybe you didn't trust this offering, or you didn't trust this situation, whatever it was. Or this could have very well meant that the situation you're in at some point along the way, there was just there may have been some counter moves against you, some kind of a vindictiveness that took place, some kind of a dishonesty, a trust issue, some kind of imbalance there. So the next card that shows up is the Seven of Pentacles. Okay. And what this kind of tells me in the recent past, that you may be very, when this situation takes place, you kind of bury your head back into yourself, into your work, into your whatever structure is there that you help to find some kind of peace, some kind of solace, right? So the seven represents the things that you've manifested before, and now you kind of planted a seed. This may have been an idea. This may have been in the past that you may have entertained this idea, and you're just kind of waiting to see where it goes. Like I said, the energy of the Knight of Wands back down to the Page of Wands kind of represents to me that you just kind of pulled back. Excuse me. There may have been a romanticized idea about something, but I think you pulled back and said, I think what I'm going to do is just focus on myself, my work, whatever. Okay. Okay. So that was the recent past. Now we're going to take a look at the possibilities. Okay, 2025 through 2026 represents the beginning of the cycle. Now we're at the ending of the cycle, so perhaps more leaning towards the ending of the cycle. There's something in the possibilities here of the way of the Emperor. Okay, I wish my camera would focus in here. Yeah, there we go. The Emperor. Okay, we could definitely be talking about an Aries here. Right? We don't have to be, but we could be. Some Aries in your sign, in your timeline right now. This could also represent, say, a father figure, or say a grandfather, or somebody that you look up to, somebody who has a more of a stabilized idea about things. This could be something on your mind that you're trying to gain stability. But the Emperor represents a lot of different aspects about, let's say, boundaries. Let's say that a groundedness and boundaries. So the possibilities here could represent something along the lines of that, but it could also represent a situation in your life. And the reason I say that is because we have the Ten of Pentacles. Okay. In the possibilities, the Ten of Pentacles represents a family, a union, a community, a group of people. There may be someone in your life who's very dominating. There is somebody who is in control, in charge, somebody that you look up to, perhaps a father figure, perhaps, like I said, a grandfather. But you see that there is this loyalty scenario. So there in your possibilities, there is this loyalty to family. And like I said, we did see in your underlying energy from the very beginning, we saw the Ten of Cups. Okay. Right. So this is very important to you, this loyalty aspect, this family type of scenario. Or, like I said, there is an energy in your midst that is very dominating, because the Emperor has the aspect also, okay, of a control type situation. Keep in mind that your challenge card is the Ace of Pentacles, okay? The reason I want to bring that back up is because within that loyalty, there may be something along the lines of, let's say, somebody hands down a business, or, if a father has a business and he hands it to his son, and it doesn't have to be to the son, it could be to the daughter as well. So that may be something also that you're considering, or something. So also in the possibilities, okay, This is the possibilities from 2025 through 2026. You may be presented with a lot of different choices, okay? As if we don't always have choices. But rather than going through all the cups, we can just say these choices could have included anything from making a decision about leaving a loyal type committed relationship. What is my loyalty towards a relationship? Am I committed to it? It could also talk about contracts. It could also refer to emotional sides, meaning that, you know, along the way I had some temptations. I had some things that I may have done that I may have regretted. So there's regret involved. There's also there is with the cups, with the cups and with the wands. I'm going to say that maybe it may have been just like I said, turning what your attention away. If this is the runner chaser scenario, you pulled back and put your interest back into other things. However, the possibilities also, they look as though the Seven of Wands might be trying to say that um, during this time, you've had to be very protective about certain things. And the reason I kind of slowed down on the cups is because of that card sitting there. So I was trying to see the correlation. So within the Seven of Cups and within the Seven of Wands, two sevens, okay, two synchronicities there. You may have been feeling synchronicities and signs about some things. And this may have presented itself in a way where you felt very guarded about it. The warrior, you know, it's kind of like something came along that maybe just shocked you. You were unprepared for. You know, it's hard to see, but if you'll notice, the warrior is not wearing the same type of shoe. And so the story kind of goes that maybe the warrior had to run out of his hut or his living space in a quick manner to try to run out and protect something real quick. So there was this, I know I'm not prepared, or I had a little bit of guard up. I'm not sure, you know, what's going on. And so it's like one of those things. The Seven of Cups presents that. There's mystery involved. There is, you know, so many choices. So that kind of, like I said, reminds me of the situation. Okay. So in the near future, Gemini, in the near future, and this could be tomorrow, there is a death. Okay. This does not have to represent the physical death. Okay. However, it could, but I'm just saying, to speak a little more softly about it, the death card represents a dying of old habits, old ways of thinking, and it structures it into a more neutral position. The bishop looking up, okay, what that represents as he's as he's looking at death, okay, he understands that death comes to even the highest king. It comes even to the lowliest of the peasants. And so he understands the cycle and the cyclical nature of that. He understands that everything is renewed, everything is reborn. And so you are definitely about to experience a renewal. And like I said, with your the other energy of your chariot, excuse me, I'm so sorry. The other energy with your chariot, like I said, you could be looking into a transformation in your life, you know, a spiritual transformation. Maybe you're undergoing an awakening or something like that, you know. Hold that thought. Okay, so that's the possibilities, or the near future. So the next card to come out in the near future is the King of Swords. I'm sorry about my camera, you guys. I am gonna have to get a new one. The King of Swords. Okay, so the King of Swords is an action sign, and it's the highest of the action. So it's talking about or highest of the communication, but a definite action coming towards you. And that communication could be anything from, hey, I finally understand about what this Knight of Wands was, this page. I also understand about my awakening. Like I said, your current energy being the Empress, you could receive some kind of an information, another confirmation of some kind, but definitely a clarity. Okay, so the king is definitely a clarifier of that communication. This could be a text. This could be a letter. This could be some kind of recommendation for you know, the hard work that you put in. Keep in mind your challenge was the Ace of Pentacles. So financial related or something of that manner. But definitely the king is in that position where it's almost assured. Okay. So the next card to come out here in the near future is the moon. Okay. Now the moon has lots of different meanings, but let's talk about this chariot. Okay. In this recent past, this transformation, this moving away, this the 2025 season and all the challenges with the cups. Okay, the moon represents these aspects. The moon shines at night in the dark. The moon lights up those dark places. It lights up our shadow aspects. It lights up the past traumatic wounds. It brings forth all these things. And like I said, right now with this new moon, you may feel this healing type of energy. Okay, this transformative energy. It could also be related to Pisces. Um, there is also the aspect of transformation, alchemizing. Okay, the you can't really see him, but there is in this particular card, the actual symbol is covering up this little crustacean coming out of the water, and that's what that represents, is that transformation. Okay, the the dog and the coyote howling at the moon. Okay, it represents kind of that understanding how the cycles of life, um, getting in touch with the deep aspects, the cycles of life. So, okay, now in the recent future, you're also looking at possibly a marriage commitment or a vow of some type, a celebration, a union of, say, people. This could represent anything as small as like a gathering for, like, say, an anniversary or a concert. You could be going to a play or some kind of a celebratory type act. But usually it represents some type of a marriage or a commitment of some kind, but a union that is, received in a harmonious type of way. So, Gemini, that's a pretty good aspect to look at right there, especially that being your last card of the near future there. Okay, so now what we're going to take a look at is Gemini, the self. We want to know how you're showing up, okay? How does Gemini feel at the end of 2025, moving into 2026, okay? Don't get upset. The Tower. You feel as though maybe things might be crumbling around. And here's the thing. If you are going through a spiritual awakening, if you are realizing that your foundations around you are crumbling down, it's okay. This is not a catastrophe. It feels like a catastrophe, but it's not. This is not a terrible card. Okay. This represents some shocking news coming in. Okay. It represents some kind of a thought pattern, that the foundation of that thought. It could be that if you are looking into, let's say, spiritual things, it changes your mindset on things. It opens your mind up to new ideas about life, love, relationships, the whole nine. So the old patterns that you have in your mind, um, it's a challenging thing. Your brain wants to keep you comfortable, wants to keep you safe. So it may be telling you one thing when your heart's feeling something different. A lot of that happens. Okay. Especially at this time, it's like you're trying to comfort those feelings of that. But the transformation side of the crumbling of the foundation is the most valuable lesson that we get in life. It's a beautiful card. Okay. All right. So the next thing is, keep in mind, it's a mindset. This is the crown chakra. So in the head, if you see the crown up here, that's what that's talking about. Okay. It's an illusionary card, a temporary card. Okay. So the next thing we want to look at is the environment. Gemini, what does the environment look like around you? Okay. What does your environment look like at the end of 2025 going into 2026? Okay. We have the judgment card. Okay. Now, the judgment card is unbiased, just like temperance, just like, um, a balanced scale. Okay. It says that no matter what, there's going to be judgment upon this situation. Okay. And it makes total sense when you're in that Empress energy that you're getting the best judgment possible, right? When you stay aligned, when you stay I'm focusing in and I'm moving forward and I feel this peaceful place. That is when judgment can do the work and say, okay, your surroundings around you are now going to match your interior, right? That's judgment. And Gabriel's blowing the horn and he's saying, rise up, right? Rise up and be your best self you can possibly be. So this is a beautiful way to enter into 2026 season. I mean, it really, truly is. So, okay, Gemini, we're going to take a look at your hopes, your fears, your wishes, and your worries. Hopes, fears, wishes, and worries. This is amazing. 3 major arcana cards. The Temperance. Okay, give me your card. All right, the Temperance. You know, I just mentioned that, like I said, in your underlying energy, you have the Chariot, okay? In this recent past, you could have very well gone through some kind of an experience that emotionally woke you up, okay? And your last 3 cards, your environment, your hopes, your fears, your wishes, your worries, all of these cards are showing up as divine signs. This is alchemizing, pouring from one cup to the other, transmuting 2025 into what you will do in 2026, what you will not take from 2025, what you will only accept in 2026. That's the alchemizing. That's the balance, and you're doing the work. And the thing of it is Gemini, you're the twins. You have multiple personalities to try to appeal to, and I don't mean that in any kind of a negative way. I'm not saying you have some kind of multiple personality disorder. In fact, science can't even call that disorder, okay? It's just what they don't understand. But you have multiple energies to deal with here. The Gemini have while they are a mutable sign, very adaptable, but it takes them a little longer sometimes to get all the information they need. That's necessary for them to stay stable. Okay, so I feel like that's a beautiful card to show itself. All right, so now we're going to look at the outcome and the direction for Gemini for this 2026 season. What is the outcome and the direction for Gemini? Goodness. All right. How about that? The Lovers. The Lovers, okay? This could physically mean the Lovers, your twin flame coming in, your soulmate connection coming in. This could be the understanding of your relationships, okay? This could also be talking about the mountains, the work necessary to clean up relationships or to form relationships. But with the Lovers card, I'm telling you, this is amazing. I'm about to get my camera, my angle camera, so I can start showing you these down below. You have 4 major arcana cards here. I'll get it right. 4 major arcana cards came out. Gemini, this is a sign, okay? This is a beautiful sign for you right here. Whoever you are, you're doing the work. You're about to meet some person that is as balanced as you are, that lines up, okay? I don't even know how to, I can't even go any further. This is spoken. So congratulations. If you liked the video, thumb it up. Join us, okay? Join the community. Go over to the community page and comment. Let me know what you'd like to see. Let me know what else I can do, okay? I love you. I appreciate you for showing up, okay? Have a wonderful 2026, rest of this holiday season, if you're celebrating Christmas and all that. So, but Happy New Year, and we'll see you at the next video. All right, bye.